Leaving the hospital should feel like freedom, but there's this nagging sensation in my chest, as though I'm still trapped in some invisible cage, haunted by what I can't quite understand. I thought I'd feel relief, but instead I feel as if a part of me is still lying on that cold hospital bed, wondering if I'm truly whole again or if something remains broken beneath the surface. They told me I was fine, but when I step out into the world again, it feels like I've been left with the pieces of a puzzle I can't seem to complete. The hospital doors opened and I walked out into the world. But somehow, the world doesn't feel quite as welcoming as I remembered. I was so eager to leave, but now that I'm out, the uncertainty is louder than ever. What if I haven't really healed at all? The hospital was supposed to be the place of recovery, but now that I've left, I wonder if the real healing begins when you step back into a world that doesn't understand. I thought I would feel stronger, but there's a quiet fear inside me that I can't shake, like something was left undone, like I'm not really finished yet. They said I was fine to go home, but how can you be fine when your mind and body are still recovering from the war they've been through? The doors closed behind me as I walked out, but it feels like I've stepped into an unknown where everything is different, yet nothing has really changed. They said everything is fine, but there's this heaviness, a weight of things I can't put into words, reminding me that healing doesn't always happen overnight. I thought leaving would bring peace, but instead, there's this constant ache, a reminder that some wounds aren't visible to the eye, and healing is more than just a discharge slip. The world feels distant now, like I'm not quite in it yet. I've stepped out of the hospital, but my mind still lingers in the sterile rooms of uncertainty. They say time heals all, but what if the time I've spent here has only given me more questions than answers? The silence after the hospital is louder than any noise I could have imagined, and the more I try to move forward, the more I feel like I'm stuck between two worlds. I should be celebrating my release, but there's this gnawing feeling that something is wrong, like I'm missing a part of myself that I can't get back. Leaving the hospital didn't make everything better. It only made me realize how much I still have to learn about living with what happened. They told me I was ready, but something inside me wonders if I'm ever truly ready to face the world again after everything that's happened. It's as if the hospital let me go, but a part of me stayed behind. The outside world feels so strange, like I'm not sure where I fit anymore. I've walked out of the hospital door, but my heart still feels chained, like Something's pulling me back to that place I thought I left behind. The hospital was supposed to fix me, but it didn't. I've left with more questions than answers, and the path ahead is more uncertain than I could have imagined. I thought escaping the walls of the hospital would bring relief, but all I feel now is a sense of detachment, as if the world is spinning without me. They let me go, but it's like I'm walking on the edge of something I can't fully see. The world feels a little too big, and I feel a little too small. It should feel like freedom, but instead, leaving the hospital has left me with a quiet terror. What if the outside world is no safer than the one I left behind? I walked out of those hospital doors, but part of me is still trapped in the room where I was supposed to heal, haunted by the thoughts I can't escape. The hospital let me go, but my mind keeps returning to the sterile halls, replaying every moment as if I can somehow find a way to make sense of it all. They let me out, but there's no applause, just the echo of my own thoughts, whispering that I may never fully escape the feeling that something is wrong. It's strange how the world keeps moving forward while I feel like I'm standing still, caught between the hospital walls and the life I'm supposed to return to. Leaving the hospital wasn't the end of my journey. It feels more like the beginning of a new chapter, one that's full of uncertainty and unanswered questions. The door to the hospital opened and I stepped out. But the world outside doesn't feel quite like I remembered. There's a distance now, a space between who I was and who I am now. I should be grateful, but all I can feel is a sense of unease, as though I've been let out into a world that's moved on without me. I thought the hardest part was behind me, but leaving the hospital has brought with it a new set of challenges, ones I wasn't prepared for. They told me to go home, but home doesn't feel the same anymore. It's as if I've changed in ways I can't explain, and now I'm not sure where I belong. The world outside the hospital feels unfamiliar, like I'm walking through it with a foggy mind. I'm here, but am I really here? I was so eager to leave, but now that I'm out, I wonder if the real journey is just beginning, the one of learning how to live with the changes I can't undo. They let me go, but it feels like I'm still carrying the weight of everything that happened inside those walls, unsure if I'm ready to face the world just yet. There's no fanfare, no grand release, just a quiet step back into the world and the overwhelming question of whether I'm truly okay or just pretending to be. It feels like I've been given a second chance, but a part of me wonders if I'm strong enough to embrace it, if I'm ready to leave the past behind. I left the hospital with the hope that I would feel better, but instead, there's this lingering discomfort, like I'm still trying to figure out how to move forward. They let me out, but what they didn't give me was peace of mind. Now I'm left to face the unknown, with only my thoughts as company. I should be thankful, but leaving the hospital feels like I've been given a ticket to a show I don't know if I am ready to watch. The hospital let me go, but something inside me tells me that my healing hasn't really begun until I learn how to walk out into the world again. It's like they told me to go, but no one prepared me for the silence I would face outside, or for how unsettling the world feels after being confined. I thought I'd feel better walking out of the hospital, but now that I'm here, I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong, something I still need to understand. Leaving the hospital didn't change everything. It just brought into sharper focus the parts of me that still need to heal. They told me I was fine, but now that I'm out, I realize the true test has just begun. How do I heal when the world feels like a strange and foreign place? The door swung open and I walked out, but I wonder if leaving was the easy part. The real challenge is finding a way to exist in a world that feels so different. I left, but part of me stayed behind, and now I'm not sure if I'm the person I was when I walked in or if I've become someone I can't even recognize. There's something unsettling about leaving the hospital. It's not the end, but just another chapter of uncertainty, one where I have to navigate the world with my broken pieces. I walked out, but somehow the world doesn't feel like it's waiting for me. It's as if I've missed something and I'm not sure how to get it back. Leaving the hospital felt like freedom at first, but now I feel like I've left behind more than just physical walls. I feel like I've left pieces of myself that I can't find. They told me I was fine, but there's no joy in walking away from something that changed me so deeply, leaving behind an emptiness I'm not sure how to fill. The world outside the hospital feels cold now, and I feel like a stranger in my own life. What happens when the place you thought you'd healed no longer feels like home? I thought leaving would mean things were getting better, but now I wonder if the hospital walls were a safer place to be than this world I'm supposed to face alone. They let me out, but something inside me doesn't feel ready. I feel unprepared, unsure, like there's something out there that I'm not yet ready to face. The world doesn't seem to pause for your recovery, and leaving the hospital feels like being thrust into a reality that's both unfamiliar and frightening. I left the hospital, but in a way, the hospital never really left me. its sterile halls, its quiet hum. They followed me into a world that feels strangely foreign. It's strange to walk out of a place that's been my world for so long and into a reality that seems too big, too loud, and far too overwhelming for me to handle. They said I was fine, but now that I'm out, I realize that healing is more than just leaving the hospital. It's a journey that doesn't have a clear destination. The hospital doors closed behind me, and now I'm standing at the threshold of a world that feels like it's moving without me, unsure of how to step back into it. They let me go, but I feel like I've left something behind. I thought I would feel better, but instead, I'm left with more questions and less peace than before.